We're so happy that everyone's joined us today. Thank you so much. This is our first inaugural Zoominar, Facebook Live for Centro Sefarad, New Mexico. Everyone is here is waiting to speak to you. What we're presenting today will be a little taste of different things that we're planning on for our programming. We have a bit of history, we have a bit of DNA, we have a bit of personal discovery, we have research. It's a little bit of everything. It's just a taste. Wanted to remind everybody, first of all, to please add your questions to the comments below so we can get to those. We'll do the questions at the end for everyone. Um, we would like to remind you that if you would like to be placed on our mailing list, you can just email us and we have a slide that will have that as well, Centro Sefarad NM at gmail.com. You can also like us here on Facebook, Centro Sefarad NM. And I think we'll get started with Maria Apodaca. And let me just do a quick intro for my dear friend Maria, who's amazing. Maria is her family historian, and she became interested in DNA genetic genealogy when she discovered her paternal DNA carries the Cohen modal signature. Her traditional research goes back to Diego Blandin Gonzalez, who was born in Coimbra, Portugal, and died in Nueva España in 1598. His sons came with Captain Juan Oñate to today's New Mexico in 1598. Her family was forcibly converted to Catholicism during the Inquisition, and she is the first returnee to Judaism in her family in over 500 years. She is very active in the Jewish community here, and I don't have time to list all the things that she does. So she is amazing. She's a wonderful people person, and she has, and that helps because she has 30 years of experience in hospital patient care coordination. She's our coordinator for a lot of things. Maria is going to speak about what the goals are, what we plan to do. Maria, up to you.
Thank you, Shelley. Hello and welcome. Centro Sefarad New Mexico Sephardic Heritage is a volunteer group with a mission to provide cultural and educational programs with resources, many bilingual, for the descendants of those Spanish Jews who were forcibly converted to Catholicism and who found refuge in the Rio Grande Valley. Centro Sefarad also promotes and builds bridges with similar organizations at regional, national, and international events to create awareness about the history and culture state of this population. With a Sephardic Certificate for Spanish Citizenship program sponsored by the Jewish Federation of New Mexico, it sparked a great interest in Sephardic heritage and ancestry of many people across our state and region and among similar groups in other countries. Our goals are to build bridges between the Jewish and Hispanic communities, creating bilingual programs, bringing Sephardic heritage and history to our communities, raising awareness of our unique New Mexico history and Sephardic history in general within the larger Jewish community. This will include social media presence, weekly, monthly publications, webinars on diverse topics with other methods of sharing information and resources. Please come and join Centro Sefarad New Mexico, and please join our mailing list. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maria. Now we're going to go over to Jeannie, who I have known for a long time and who never fails to amaze me in everything that she does. Jeannie's coming to us from Miami, and she was born in Havana into a Roman Catholic family. She has, and I love telling people this, she has fully documented her unbroken maternal line for 22 generations, back to Spain and Portugal in 1405. Since the last time I spoke to her, she might have gone back more, but I haven't asked her, but we'll ask her now. She has been a past president of the Jewish Genealogical Society of Greater Miami, Tarbut Sefarad-Fermoselle in Spain, and the Society for Crypto Judaic Studies. An award-winning author, she has spoken to the Israeli Knesset and lectures around the world, bringing awareness to the topic of Jews returning from the Inquisition. Most recently, she received the coveted medal of the Four Sephardic Synagogues in Jerusalem for her decades of work in preservation and recovery of Sephardic memory. Genie, have you gone back more now than 22 generations, or did we stop there?
I actually didn't, but I want to thank everyone, Sarah, Jordan, Shelley, Maria, and Neil, for allowing me to be here with you today. You're all like on the other side, and I'm here in Miami, but it is a pleasure. I actually did, Shelley, take my dad's lineage back to 1100 Canary Islands. So my last grandmother that I did find was in 1405, 22 generations. And I was still unable, even with that lineage, I was unable to find my Jewish relatives because my Jewish name, because perhaps no one knows that the largest conversion from the Jews was in 1391. So since I went back to 1405 with Spanish names, then I know that my family was converted in 1391. And after 22 grandmothers, the last one, her name was Ana Neto. So that is my grandmother from 1405. I have personally returned to the Jewish people over 33 years ago. And I only found my lineage fully about 15 years ago. So it's something that I continuously work on. Shelley mentioned with my background that I live in an archive basically, so there you are. These are the archives on the east coast of Jamaica, where there's a lot of information about the slave trade and slavery that then came on to the United States. So this is something I'm trying to get digitized. And I want to give you a global overview today of what is going on in this world. What is going on and how accepted? When I started becoming active on social media strongly 10, 15 years ago, the interest was so great that from that moment to today, I field anywhere from 200 to 600 emails a month. And these emails are coming from around the world. I don't think that there's any place, well, in general, I've gotten from people from the Philippines, there was a Portuguese Inquisition. Goa, India, I receive emails, there was a Portuguese Inquisition. Of course, all Latin America, many of that in Central points back to the Mexican Inquisition, which would be where Maria's points back to. Let's say Pakistan, Thailand, it's just unbelievable the kind of people that come from everywhere. It's not just the assumption that they're trying to return from the Inquisition, they're trying to return in just Latin American countries. The reality is that this is worldwide. By my speaking out on this topic and being very vocal about it, it's twofold reason. Number one is to be able to have people around the world, your typical person just going to shul, Ashkenazi, just concerned about Ashkenazi history, have them understand that this is an important, very important part of Jewish history that unless we talk about it, it's being lost. And number two, I talk about it so that the people that are out there alone feel that they have a place to go to. So a place like Centro Sefarad and many others in different parts of the world, this is how we allow the people that have been lost to history and left out on their own boat to return and come back. It's very difficult because people need to be taught. It's a very difficult thing to have the conversions. Right now, I work very heavily with the populations of El Salvador, Nicaragua, Honduras, and two little villages inside Costa Rica. And I'm teaching right now a couple of classes on Zoom to these communities. And I have a girlfriend who's teaching Hebrew to these communities. And all of this is done on a volunteer basis to be able to have them just feel a connection. And that's all they need. I also help people find their genealogies. I don't do the work myself. I guide them, and I guide them to Shelley many times. She receives a lot of the inquiries of people that are looking. I guide them when I can. And even if this genealogy doesn't take them, let's say, the full way, like I was able to do, at least if somebody knows that they have a Jewish ancestor, it's a feeling of belonging. So a lot of people just say, just convert. You know what? We need to help them find that Jewish ancestor, because finding that Jewish ancestor changes the world. It gives you a connection, and I think this is the work that's being done by Sarah and by Rabbi Jordy, and I think that it's very important to have people just feel that connection. Just find one guy. You don't have to find 8,000 Jewish relatives. So basically, it's reaching out and going out there and trying to, right now, my biggest project is trying to digitize the Inquisition files around the world. I'm doing this in conjunction with MyHeritage, who is helping me hand in hand. And I've been trying to do this since 2016, and not like a sideline job, heavily trying to do this since 2016. We seem to be very close in Portugal, but Shelley will attest to the fact that every year when I talk to her, I tell her I'm very close. But this time I actually have a contract MyHeritage is reviewing, so we may be very close to being able to really give people those Inquisition genealogies. So if you hear somebody say, I feel Jewish, I think I'm from these people, you know what? Pay attention, just extend a hand, because basically at the end of the day, until we can reach our goal to fully return to the Jewish people, all they need is your love, hugs, virtual hugs, a hand, and attention. Thank you so much.
Jeannie, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And of course, because I'm the U.S. genealogy advisor for MyHeritage, whenever you talk about this, it always makes me feel so proud of what I do, and our CEO, Gilad Jaffet, and everybody at MyHeritage, because this is a really, really important project. So we love it. What can I tell you? Jeannie, again, thank you. Thank you so much for your participation. Again, if you have questions for Jeannie, please write them in the chat or add them as a comment, and we'll get to them at the end. Our next presenter, and I love your library, Jeannie. That's lovely. Yes. Okay. And our next presenter will be our friend, Cantor Chazan Neil Manel Frau Cortez, and Neil comes from the Shueta community in Mallorca. Where is there's Neil. I got Neil. He is a scholar, a musician, a writer, and a ritual leader, of course. He holds a PhD in medieval Hebrew literature from the University of Girona, master's degree in library and information science, University of Maryland, I never remember that word. It's only abbreviated LIC, but he'll correct me. In Hebrew linguistics from the Central University of Barcelona, an MA in cantorial studies, and Jewish music from Gratz College, and ordination in Chazanut at the Reconstructionist Rabbinical College. He is an alumnus of Mallorca's Conservatory and Taller de Music of Barcelona, where he focused on composition as well as classical and jazz piano. Neil has been at several of the annual festivals that we've had, also at the conferences for the Society for Crypto Judaic Studies, and we are delighted to have him with us today. Hi, Neil.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. It is a real pleasure, and I am talking to you from Maryland. So we are all kind of dispersed around the world. I'm going to sing a couple things just for your fun and entertainment, but also for your knowledge. those who know me know that I like to talk about traveling melodies. There are subjects that circulate from place to place. One of them, of these subjects, is the returning husband. Uh, and it has many versions depending on the country. The story always goes more or less like this. So the husband is sent to the war and many years go by. One day he returns to the wife, but he decides to test her. He has changed so much that she can't recognize him. So he pretends to be a friend who tells the lady that the husband is actually dead. And the testament says that she has to marry him. Of course, the wife is truthful to the guy and says, no way. And then, boom, he reveals his true identity in a very Sephardic and dramatic way. So, of the many versions of the story, I will sing one that comes from the Moroccan Jews. Escuché, Señor soldado, si de las guerras venís, de las guerras, mi señora, de las guerras del inglés. Si has visto a mi marido, por ventura alguna vez, dame la señal, señora, que le pueda conocer. Mi marido es alto y rubio, alto como la ciprés. Lleva las medias de seda y zapatito de vaivén. Este hombre que usted dice, muerto es ya más de un mes. Y en su testamento dice que me casé con usted. No lo quiera el Dios del cielo, ni lo quiera yo también. 7 años esperado y otros 7 esperaré. So how it goes, there is also a New Mexican version that was transmitted by Joaquin Diaz. Here, the wife is a little more spicy and decides to become a nun, but hey, she still has it. So she's going to be kind of a hot sister, so to speak, because she says, I don't look half bad for a widow. And by the way, you can have the translations on the Facebook posting as well, for those who don't understand Spanish. So here goes, the New Mexican version of the same story. Yo soy la recién casada y ella lloraba sin cesar. Me abandonó mi marido por amar la libertad. Mi marido es artesano, tiene el habla muy cortés. Y en la falda del sombrero trae un letrero en francés. Por las señas que usted ha dado, su marido muerto es. En la ciudad de Varela lo mató un traidor francés. 2 hijos que Dios me ha dado, conmigo les llevaré, pa' que rueguen por su padre y por su madre también. 10 años que lo he aguardado, 20 que lo aguardaré. Si a los 30 años no viene de monja, me meteré. Me echo mi mantona negra y mi listón colorado. No más me arrimo al espejo, qué buena viuda me he quedado. And going to another point, I'm going to sing a couple things about another story called Don Gato. This is a rather bizarre story about Mr. Cat, which often is a metaphor for power figures such as the governor or the virrey. Essentially, Mr. Cat is on his roof, like cats do in these cases, and things happen. In our first version, which is from Morocco and in Ladino, Mr. Cat sees a female cat, tries to follow her, falls from the roof, and it ends up dying. In spite of the many doctors, they take him to be properly buried. But while passing through the market, the smell of the sardines makes the cat rise from the dead. The melody of this version is from the Kinot of Tisha B'Av, and the moms would sing this to the children in the dirge melody because it's a sad festival. But they were warning them not to laugh because it's forbidden. Estaba el señor Don Gato sentadito en su tejado con la mano en la cintura y la otra en el costado. Por allí pasó una gata con los ojos relumbrando. Don Gato, por darle un beso, se cayó de su tejado. Llamaron a los doctores de cirujano. Uno le mira la pierna y otro le mira el costado. Señor Gato está muy malo, señor Gato está muy muerto. Ya lo llevan a enterrar tras la plaza del pescado. Al olor de la sardina, el gato ha resucitado. ¡Jai, jai, jai! El gato ha resucitado. For this version of Don Gato, I need your help. And I could not hear you, so I'm imagining you in the interwebs singing. This is the children's version that all Spanish kids know in Spain, where the cat actually receives a letter from a marriage proposal, which causes the cat to fall. And your role here, which is very, 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 very important, is when I say marra meow meow, you have to answer meow meow. So I would say, sentadito en su tejado, marra meow meow, meow meow. Okay, you get it? Let's go for it. Estaba el señor Don Gato sentadito en su tejado, marra meow meow, meow meow, sentadito en su tejado. Ha recibido una carta, si quería ser casado, marra miau, 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 si quería ser casado con una gatita blanca, sobrina de un gato pardo, marra miau, 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 sobrina de un gato pardo. Al recibir la noticia, se ha caído del tejado, marra miau, 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 se ha caído del tejado, ya lo llevan a enterrar. Tras la tapia del mercado, marra miau, 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 tras la tapia del mercado. Al olor de la sardina, el gato ha resucitado, marra miau, 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 el gato ha resucitado. And probably by now, the neighbors think that you're totally nuts, but hey, it's the same. We're all confined. Finally, and I finish here, I want to sing to you the New Mexican version of Mr. Cat or Don Gato, where Mr. Cat is suspiciously dressed as the Spanish virrey, the governor, in a golden throne with silk tights and red shoes. And when he dies and all the cats cry for him, the mice, who are very subversive, celebrate and dress in red, not black. Estaba el señor Don Gato sentado en su silla de oro, vistiendo medias de seda y zapato colorado. Le pregunta a su compadre si quería ser casado con una gata morena que andaba sobre el tejado. Don Gato, por verla pronto, brincó de costilla abajo y se quebró una costilla y se desconcertó un brazo. Llamaron al buen doctor, don Ventura lo pató, y a las 4 de la mañana ya era difunto el gato. Los ratones de alegría se visten de colorado y los gatitos chiquitos se quedan desconsolados. Miau, miau. And that's it for me. Thank you so much for your patience.
Neil, thank you so much. That's so delightful. We love hearing as you do, you take the songs in different places and we see how they evolve and the music. It's wonderful. We always love it. Thank you so much for being here. And again, I'll remind people if you have any questions, please put questions in the comment box on the Facebook page, and we'll do all the questions at the end. And now we have Neil. Again, thank you so much. We love. Okay, and now I will introduce Rabbi Jordi Gendra Molina. Rabbi Jordi is our rabbi in residence at the Jewish Federation of New Mexico. Can you hear me? Oh, okay. Hi, Rabbi Jordi. Okay. He is the first Spanish born rabbi ordained since the Inquisition and comes from a converso family. He has worked with the Sephardic Heritage Program since November 2018 and has led synagogues in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, Sewell, New Jersey, taught at Wilson College and at the Reconstructionist Rabbinical College. His academic publications focus primarily on medieval Spanish Judaism and include the responses of Rabbi Simo ben Tzemach Duran. He holds a PhD in medieval Jewish literature from the Universitat Girona, an MA in Hebrew letters and rabbinic ordination from the RRC, an MA in Semitic languages at the Universitat de Barcelona. He is a polyglot. So far he doesn't know Mongolian, but that'll probably be next week. He's exactly. A calligrapher and a bookbinder as well. Welcome, Rabbi Jordi.
Thank you, Shelley, and thank you everybody for being here today. It's a pleasure to see so many people today on Facebook. The last count was 40-something people, so that's great. We're doing great. Thank you very much. So I'm here today to talk about the upcoming programs that we're going to have. And we have developed a series of programs basically based on two main axes. So let me share with you my screen. If I'm lucky, I will know how to do that. We have many rehearsals. So hopefully everybody can see something like this. Yay, we're there. So the main two axes that we thought is history and experience and bilingual Spanish English. What do we mean by history and experience? Basically in history, when we learn history, we learn the bones, the basic structure of the body. But the experience consists the muscles, the veins, the blood, the breath that we have in our bodies. So we cannot understand one without the other. Even understanding the songs that Cantor Fra was singing, understanding Don Gato or understanding La Malcasada, those are songs that need to be, that are part of a creative living organic body, which is the community. So we cannot understand the songs, we cannot understand the art that we develop here in New Mexico in our conversion community without understanding the history. But the history is just something from the past. That community is living and breathing here in New Mexico, in Albuquerque, in Santa Fe, in Truchas, in Taos, up in the mountains. The other reality is that we are a bilingual community. We speak Spanish and we speak English. I live in a Hispanic neighborhood. We speak Spanish basically every day and on a normal regular basis, as we speak English in many other venues. So we want to offer this service in Spanish and in English. So the first thing that I want to talk about is a program that we have developed. It's going to be to begin with 5 sessions called Nuestras Historias, our stories. It's a reflection, it tries to be a reflection of what it means to be born and to live in a converso community. So the dates that I have, as you can see there, is July the 2nd, the 16th, and the 30th, and August the 13th and the 27th. At this point, I'm still working on aligning different presenters that will talk about their personal experiences, and we want this to be a dialogue with you guys. So we will take questions that you may have an interest. So after a brief introduction, our guest will be able to answer questions. We don't, that's something interesting. I have asked people, friends in Portugal, to talk about their experience in Portugal, in Belmonte. So I will try to introduce conversos, people from other converso communities from all around the world as much as I can, because this is not something, a phenomenon that happens here in New Mexico. It's also something that happens all around the world. The next slide, it's going to talk about the history. So when I was thinking about the history, I want to present to you something that goes from Seville to Santa Fe, New Mexico. So it's a story that will start with a brief presentation of the history of the Jews in Spain. That's going to be next Thursday. Then what we call La Carrera de las Américas, the migration, the story of migration between Spain in Europe and the Western Hemisphere. How do we get there? How people move around? We need to understand this in order to understand why certain converso pockets exist in certain areas and not in others. Then the following one, it's going to be the first Jews in El Virreinato. During 50 years, El Virreinato de la Nueva España, meaning the Viceroyalty of New Spain, which is today Mexico and Guatemala, had no presence of the Inquisition. And regardless of this, we had people being persecuted and being burned at the stake. So that's going to make for a very interesting discussion. Following that, I want to talk about Luis de Carvajal and the Carvajal family and how the founders of the Reino de Nuevo León, which is today Monterrey in North Mexico, and how this area of the Rio Grande Basin, it's a one historical unit. And finally, I want to introduce on August 20th, El Camino Real a Santa Fe, how this royal road that unites Mexico City to Santa Fe became the spinal cord for the viceroyalty, and what it meant for the converso community and how we come here to New Mexico. Then this is in August. We're gonna when we will come into September, we will be focusing on high holidays. This is going to be something different. What I want to do here is to focus on the liturgy and the concepts that we have around Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. So for the September the 3rd, September the 10th, and September the 27th, I will be talking about Sephardic traditions from different locations, and we will be introducing some concepts about historical concepts that not all the Sephardis, not all the Sephardim worship exactly in the same way. There are differences. And then on the 24th, I wanted to finish by reading and doing a commentary, a study session on the book of Jonah, which is a very interesting book that concludes the cycle of high holidays, of Yamim Noraim. And to start the new year, 5781, those are some of my proposals. I would like to introduce you to the history of the Sephardic diaspora, talking about history, language, culture. I would like also to introduce some elements of Spanish Kabbalah from the beginning to the Zohar. And also we will talk about some Genealogy 101 that with Shelley we will be developing in the future for those of you who care for genealogy. So we're trying to cater to a different group of people. And also we will have Cantor Frau doing a program for us, as well as other people that I have, like the historian of New Mexico, talking about the history of New Mexico, or Professor Nevin Nard from Washington to talk about the Ladino language. So remember, this is important. Join us every Thursday on Facebook Live at 1 p.m. in English and at 2:30 a las 2:30 en español. Also, it's very important that please you stay tuned and join our mailing list, because we are planning to introduce more presentations and to introduce more activities online. Another activity that I'm planning to do is to do storytelling in Spanish. La idea es contar unos cuantos cuentos para niños en español, de forma que podamos compartir la experiencia judía también en español. So those are the important things that I'm planning. Your opinion matters to us. It really matters. So please be in contact. Let us know through email, through Facebook. What would you like to hear? What would you like to talk about? Do you have any topic that you're curious about? All these kind of things matters to us, and we will try to build new programs for this coming year based on those proposals. So please be in contact with us. That's very important. And last but not least, please stay in contact. We have an array of different things. We have Facebook, we have YouTube, we have Instagram, we have Twitter. All of them are under Centro Sefarad New Mexico, Centro Sefarad NM. We have our email, centrosefaradnm@gmail.com. Again, our email is centrosefaradnm@gmail.com. And we also have our WhatsApp. It's 505-585-1639. Just a quick reminder that we will be posting all these recordings on our YouTube, so you will never lose any piece of information. So with this, I conclude my presentation. So I'm going to stop the sharing. So hopefully I'm back to normal, so you can see me. Thank you very much. So now I return this presentation to our beloved Sarah. No, sorry, to Shelley.
Am I still beloved?
Yes, you're still
Okay,
beloved,
okay.
more than beloved.
Rabbi Jordy, thank you so much for explaining all of that and for giving us a little bit of insight into what's coming up in the future. We so much appreciate having you here and having you involved in this. We couldn't do any of this without you. So thank you so much again. I guess now it's my turn. Sorry that I did not introduce myself in the beginning. I'm Shelley Talalai Dardashti. I've been a journalist and a genealogist for 30 years, exploring and tracing my families across Spain, Belarus, Lithuania, Russia, Iran. I started out with, I guess, at the Jerusalem Post with its all relative, then went to the first pioneer Jewish genealogy blog, Tracing the Tribe, and now we are on Facebook with, as of today, 34,700 plus members from 101 countries. We just added Trinidad and Tobago yesterday. So it's a call out to our friend from down there. Um, uh, as I said before, I'm the U.S. genealogy advisor for MyHeritage. And in a normal year, we speak at lots of conferences in person. Now everything is online. I'm a native New Yorker, as if you couldn't tell from my accent, but I'm a New Mexican by choice. We've lived in Israel, lived in Iran. I speak fluent Farsi. I don't know what else, but that's enough for now. So what I'm going to talk about right now is the DNA aspect of what we do here in New Mexico, which has far-ranging implications. So I am now going to try to do the share screen thing. There we go. Come on, share that one. Slideshow from current slide. Yay! Okay, let's get rid of that. There we go. This is a reminder to join our mailing list. So please email us at centrosefaradnm@gmail.com, like us on Facebook, and as Jordy said, you can see us at all the other things as well. If you have questions, please ask them actually in the comments on Facebook page. And our little taste of Centro for this is DNA genetic issues that are really relevant to New Mexico. So here we have, this is actually from Dr. Harry Ostra's book, Migrations and Settlements of the Spanish Jews. We know that after people started leaving after 1391, and of course there was a major exodus in 1492, and people went everywhere. They went from Portugal to the New World. From Spain, they went to North Africa. They went up to Northern Europe. They went into Sicily. They went into Italy. They went all the way up. People went all the way up. There was a huge Sephardic community in Vienna, very well organized. People went into Greece. They went into Turkey. They went up to the Balkans, and they kept going further. They went everywhere around the east coast of the Mediterranean. Of course, into Israel again, from whence they had originally come, and also into Iraq and Syria, and even into Iran, and even further east into India, etc. So this is just an example of where everybody went, and this is just the old world, not even the new world. What we do know, whoa. Okay, what we do know is that, and that's the wrong slide. I'm sorry, hold on a sec. One second. We always have technical issues. I don't know why it did that. Okay, here we go again. By 1630, the conversos had settled in every town in the Spanish Empire. So we were all over the place in the New World already. One of the important issues that we have in New Mexico is that BRCA1, breast cancer, is extremely prevalent in northern New Mexico and southern Colorado, which is where people from northern New Mexico went into southern Colorado. Dr. Paul Duncan, who is now retired of Albuquerque, discovered or identified the BRCA1 mutation in 2005 here in New Mexico. And this is in women, Hispanic women with breast cancer, who reported that they were descendants of the original New Mexico colonial Hispanic families. And this is people from who arrived in 1598 with Oñate, and of course in the early 1600s. The New Mexico mutation is 185 del AG, BRCA1. This is the identical mutation that people always say is Ashkenazi Jewish. This was also came out of a 2013 study done at the City of Hope in Los Angeles, where more than 100 New Mexico families participated. Genetic testing shows that the mutation arrived in Spain about 620 years ago. That's about the year 1400, so it's after 1391. We begin to see how these things spread. We know that there were Spanish explorers who were conversos, those of Jewish heritage, and they introduced it into the Spanish Hispanic populations in Mexico and in New Mexico. We also know in New Mexico that the historical records indicate a subpopulation of colonial Hispanic settlers from Mexico in the late 16th century, descended from Sephardic Jews who lived in Spain and Portugal. So the main push of this, the main takeaway from this is that BRCA1 is not only Ashkenazi, it's not only a women's issue. Men may also carry it, develop various cancers, and may be carriers who pass it to their sons and daughters. This mutation is in all Jewish communities and also found in communities with Jewish ancestry, regardless of whether that Jewish ancestry is denied, whether it's known, or whether it just isn't known at all. People just don't know about it. Today, it impacts Hispanic women and men in northern New Mexico, southern Colorado, Texas, and wherever they went. It is also found in the pueblos as well in New Mexico. Centro Sefarad New Mexico and the Jewish Genealogical Society of New Mexico present an annual Jewish genetics conference with our top oncologists, surgeons, and imaging providers. We do this to raise awareness across our population that this is not only an Ashkenazi problem or a women's problem. This year's event will likely be virtual, and we will inform everyone as to the date and how to join. If you have questions, please ask them in the comments on Facebook. And again, join our mailing list. Email us at centrosefaradnm@gmail.com. Like us on Facebook. Our page is facebook.com/centrosefaradnm. And please join us there and ask your questions. And back to where's my Zoom?
So I want to thank all of you so much for your absolutely wonderful presentations today. My name is Sarah Koplik, and I'm the Director of Community Outreach at the Jewish Federation of New Mexico and Director of the Sephardic Program. And we are very, very excited to have Centro Sefarad with us and working around the world, not just in New Mexico, but really on every continent. And that's exactly why we chose this time, so that people in Europe and the Middle East and in Asia and Latin America could all see this program. And we're just ever so delighted. We have just a few questions. We don't really have that many, but we do have just a few. Maria Luisa was wondering, she is thinking of planning a trip to southern Spain and Las Palmas, and she wants to see where the Garzas lived and where they were persecuted. So she's wondering, where should she go? And what kind of Inquisition documents should she review? Jeannie or Jordy? Well, maybe start. Yeah. So who would like to start? Jordy? Okay, Rabbi Jordan?
Hi there. Yes, thank you very much. This is a very important family that came to Mexico, to northern Mexico, to Monterrey, and we have many descendants from them. Normally, the main character that we know, the starter of the line, is Marcos Alonso de la Garza. Normally, what tradition says is that he was born in Lepe, Huelva, in the south province of Huelva. So if you look at the Spanish map, it's the region close to the Portuguese border. In our recent research, we discovered, another genealogist and we discovered that he was not born in Huelva, in Lepe. He was born in Niebla, together with another family. We know that we have the Inquisition had a census for taxes, and it's in that document that we know that. So that's important to know. Also, part of the family was involved in Seville in 1493 in a big inquisitorial case. So that's another place where you can visit. Some of the family members traveled to Canary Islands. If you watch my program on my presentation on how the migration comes to the Americas, you will learn that the Canary Islands are the springboard for the boats to cross the Atlantic. So it was a very important, it was a strategic group of islands. So that explains why so many Jews appear also in the Canary Islands. Garza have Constanza de la Garza y Alonso de la Garza, they are born in the stake in 1593 because they are relapsed. Relapse means that they came back into good terms with the Catholic Church in 1493 in Seville, but later on they came back to the Jewish practices, and they were caught in 1523, and they were in a big inquisitorial case. So basically, to conclude, I would recommend to visit Niebla in the provincia of Huelva, which is the birthplace for Marcos Alonso de la Garza. I would recommend to visit Seville, where you have inquisitorial processes, and also Canary Islands, La Isla de las Gran Canarias, because there you have the inquisitorial cases in Canary Islands. And now Genie wants to. Genie, do you have more information?
Yeah, I do. In Madrid, none of these documents are, 90% of these documents are not digitized, which is what I said before I was working on. If you are going to be in the area and Madrid at the Archivo Histórico Nacional, you can go physically and they will show them to you. I mean, they will just open them right up and show them to you if you want to see them. In the Canary Islands, in Gran Palma, at the Museo Canario, I've seen them, also not digitized, very badly microfilmed, but not digitized. They had these huge books written by hand called Inquisition Genealogias. So the genealogies are there, and not those particular books are not digitized. And finally, if you're following the path that Jordi said, then you're following, and then in Mexico, the Inquisition documents also are not digitized, but they are available in Mexico. So while some of them are digitized, if you really want to see your relatives and you want to see this family, you want to hold this in your hand, you really should physically go to these three places.
Thank you both so very much. That's really very informative. And our next question is, can Centro support our Tejanito brethren, those who are a little bit further east along the Rio Grande Valley in Texas and Nuevo León? So I actually replied online. On Facebook, I said, yes, absolutely. That's the reason why we're doing this work. But does anybody else want to explain a little bit more? Yes, Rabbi Jordan.
When Centro Sefarad became a reality, it was because we saw that need in the Rio Grande Basin. So our call is to help all those people in the Rio Grande Basin, both in the north side, in the American side, al igual que al sur, al igual que Monterrey en Chihuahua o en Coahuila or in Laredo. It's our call. We want to help you guys. Be in contact. We can create community. The worst thing that we can do, la peor cosa que podemos hacer, is to believe that we are separated, that we are the only ones. La peor cosa que podemos hacer es creer que estamos solos, que estamos aislados, que somos los únicos. Because there are many like us, like what Genie is doing in Honduras, in Guatemala. There are populations, there are little towns that they have groups of people that descend from those original conversos, and they have been living in those areas. So yes, it's our call. We help you. We just need to be in contact, and we can travel. We can do Zoom in the COVID period of time. You know. So we can express. We can be in contact through Zoom and do programs and share programs together.
Great. And then we have two requests for further discussion. What about Sephardi migration to Jerusalem, to the Ir Hatikah, to the Old City, and also a request to learn about the genealogy in Nuevo León. And so those are absolutely we have lots and lots of wonderful resources. As you see, we're so fortunate to have so many world experts with us here today. Very noted scholars and researchers who spent a lifetime learning about their converso, crypto Jewish, and Sephardic heritage. And that's our goal, is to help everyone learn more about their very precious heritage and legacy, and so that it's no longer so hidden, but that it comes out into. And I just want to take this time to thank Maria Apodaca, Cantor Neil Frau Cortez, Shelley Kalalai Dardashti, Mrs. Genie Milgrom, Rabbi Jordan Gendra Molina, and all of us at the Jewish Federation for this very special webinar. Thank you all so much. Thank you.